Ahead and finish up your chapter 6 notes. Okay, we've gone through these slides. We've talked about catalysts, and catalysts are simply enzymes, and enzymes are made out of proteins. Enzymes bind to substrates in the active site, and they make new products. Examples of enzymes in the body, we have lipase, amylase, and maltase. And now we get into water and solution. So it is known that the body is majority of it made out of water. And so one thing that's very important is that there are mixtures with water. So for example, when you dissolve powder drink, that is a mixture. And a mixture is a combination of two or more substances in which each substance retains its individual characteristics and properties. If you remember from physical science, we have homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixtures are also known as solutions. That is because if you make a homogeneous mixture, it is hard to distinguish the different types of matter. The solvent is the one that is being dissolved, and the solute is the one that is, let me just restate that. So the solvent is the one that is doing the dissolving, and then the solute is the one that is being dissolved. And then, of course, heterogeneous mixture, it's a mixture wherein you can tell the individual components. Now we move on to the building blocks of life, and there is a worksheet attached to this later on. Macromolecules are large molecules that are formed by joining smaller organic molecules together. They are known as polymers. So macro means larger or large. So then we have larger molecules, and when you have large molecules together, or when you have molecules strung together, they are known as polymers. Poly for being a prefix for many. Examples would include carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. All right, this is what they look like. So carbohydrates, I think some of you guys mentioned in class, bread will be bread. And the function would be to store energy as well as to provide structural support. Then we have lipids, for example, beeswax. They also store energy and provide barriers. So you know that fat is not water soluble, and so when you have a layer of lipid, that provides a layer of protection from water. Then we get into protein. So we have this protein known as hemoglobin, and it is responsible for transporting oxygen in your blood. So proteins, they have a lot of functions, including transport substances, speed up reaction, provide structural support, and make hormones. And lastly, we have the nucleic acids. And nucleic acids comprise DNA or RNA, and their job is to store and communicate genetic information. So going on to specifics, we have carbohydrates first, and they are made out of monosaccharides. If you string monosaccharides together, mono being one, and then saccharide meaning sugar. So if you string a lot of sugars together, that creates carbohydrates. And the general formula would be carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and then N would be some amount. They are biologically important. So again, going with the prefix mono meaning one. So if you combine two monosaccharides, you will get disaccharides. So the di prefix means two, and then multiple we get polysaccharide. Examples would include glucose, sucrose, all those are different types of sugar. And carbohydrates can also function for structure. And this is generally what it would look like. We will draw something like this later on. Next, we have lipids, and lipids are composed of fatty acids. Fatty acids are mostly composed of carbon and hydrogen, and they make up fats, oils, and waxes. Their function is to store energy. So, fatty acids are good storage of energy. Examples would include saturated and unsaturated fats. Again, if you had taken a health class of some sort, these terms would have been mentioned. There's also phospholipids, steroids, and this is what it would look like. Next, we have proteins, and proteins are a string of amino acids. Amino acids are small compounds that are made out of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, and sometimes sulfur. When we get to next semester, we will start talking about how amino acids are made. They are very important for structure, repair, growth, and development. So like I mentioned in class, we are a big blob of different types of proteins. And that's what it would look like. Lastly, we have nucleic acids, and they are made out of nucleotides. They are complex macromolecules that store and transmit genetic information. Composed of smaller subunits known as nucleotides, and nucleotides are made out of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and hydrogen atoms. Again, we have DNA and RNA as an example. And if you've taken any science prior to this would look very familiar. All right, that would be the end of your notes. There is worksheet number 4, I believe, that would continue on and go into the different building blocks again.